So guys, another day and we are back for some more transfer rumours. In today we've got quite a bit of news to talk over. We've got Sheffield Wednesday who are going to be appealing their point deduction. We've had quite a few completed deals go through over the weekend, and of course a bunch of transfer speculation. So as always, get your thoughts in the comments down below. But before we do hop into anything, a big shout out to our sponsors over at OneFootball. As always, you can find their link in the top line of the description down below. Now while we are in the midst of this transfer window, everything gets a bit crazy around this time of the year. If you want to keep up to date with all the recent information going around the Championship, then OneFootball is a really handy place to go ahead and do that. You can also read up on the latest stats of all the players that we are going to mention in today's video and get live updates to your phone when the goal does go in when we do head into this next season. But without any further ado, let's hop into some of the recent news. So we may as well start out with the Sheffield Wednesday point deduction. So today Sheffield Wednesday did release a statement which reads, the club was disappointed with some of the decisions of the disciplinary commission and respectfully disagrees with both the finding that it was in breach of the P&S rules for the 17-18 season and the sanction of a 12-point deduction to be applied in the 20/21 season. And it does go into some interesting points, one of which being the club had been assured by the EFL that the stadium could have been included in its 17/18 returns and relied on those assurances. Having discussed the transaction with the EFL having approved it and the club's auditors having signed off on it, the club believed and continues to believe it was acting properly and in accordance with the rules. It is disappointing in those circumstances that the commission went on to find the club was nevertheless in breach of charge 1. And it continues to go into a little bit more detail, then finishes on the club will make no further comment until the outcome of the appeal is known. If you want to read up on that fully, it's on the Sheffield Wednesday website. There's a good Twitter thread on this as well from Dale Johnson if you want to go and check that out. That goes into some interesting detail. The EFL accepted that in principle the sale of Hillsborough was an acceptable practice, however that Sheffield Wednesday failed to do so effectively is the reason why the club failed P&S rules, so you can sell your stadium but you have to do it right. Obviously we've still got all of this commotion to go through with Derby as well. We're still waiting on the outcome of what's going to happen with them and any possible deductions. I'm very interested to see where this all goes. It's going to be a story that's going to continue to rumble on throughout the season, I'd imagine. You get the feeling that neither Sheffield Wednesday or the EFL are going to be backing down on this one. So Wednesday fans, like I said, I'd be interested to get your guys' thoughts on that one in the comments down below. And before we do head into any transfer rumours, we did have some completed deals go through over the weekend as well, so we'll touch on them. Lyle Taylor completed the move to Nottingham Forest. Brilliant option. Now him and Lewis Grobban, I think that's two excellent striking options there. On the free transfer as well, there was a lot of interest in Taylor from numerous Championship clubs. He had offers in Scotland as well. Celtic interested at one point. If you manage to keep Taylor fit for a whole season, you've got, you know, at least getting into double figures there. They also added Tyler Blackett as well, also coming in on the free transfer. A little bit more mixed on what I think of this one. I'm very sort of hit and miss whenever I've seen Blackett play, but we'll see. Another left back coming in, George Friend, completed a move to Birmingham as well. He's linking up with former manager Ita Karanka. Now, interested to see where Karanka sees George Friend. Has he still got the legs to be a fullback, or does he see moving him inside a little bit more? I know he played in that back three at Middlesbrough quite effectively as sort of a left-sided centre-back. Freddie Woodman's also returned for Swansea for another season. I think that's a good deal for both parties. Chris Smith also completed his move there at the weekend as well. And Jeremy Nagaki has also completed a move to Watford. He's coming in on the free. There might be a bit of compensation involved in this one. His contract expired last season with West Ham where he broke through. Fullback made 5 appearances for them in the Premier League and at only 19 years old. Looked to be a bit of sensible business by Watford. But those were some of the completed deals we've seen go through in the past couple of days. Now without any further ado, let's hop into some transfer news. So we'll start out with one move that looks to be almost over the line. Aaron Ramsdale making the move to Sheffield United. Now there has been late interest from Aston Villa. That story broke this morning, but you'd imagine that the move to Sheffield United will get over the line if he's got the choice of both of them. Obviously Sheffield United right now see themselves as a bit more of an established club after the season that they've just had, but a bid of 18.5 million accepted. They had a previous one a couple of weeks ago of around 12 million rejected. For Bournemouth, it's going to be a shame to lose a player of that quality. Their player of the season last year, and in fact last season in the Premier League, only Martin Dubravka and Tim Krul made more saves than Aaron Ramsdale did. He made 129 in the Premier League last season, so without him Bournemouth would have been in much more trouble. They would have been down a lot sooner than they were, and he was one player who I think they were hoping they could build a future around, but for that sort of money and when they're being in the Championship was always going to be hard to turn down. You know, it was always going to be pushing that 20 million mark. Speaking of the goalkeepers, Ben Foster's been another name linked to the Premier League with both Chelsea and Everton interested. At one point Spurs were interested as well, but it looks like they're moving towards Joe Hart. Now the interesting thing about this one, he recently signed a new contract extension with them. Only back in June he signed a new 2-year contract extension with Watford, so by all accounts for that reason you'd imagine that he'd be sticking it out with the Championship with them. I mean, Ben Foster's a fan favourite there, isn't he? In fact, he had their 6th most saves made in the Premier League last season with 117. Simon Ghoddos has been linked with a move to Brentford once again. This was one that came up last summer as well but fell through in the end. He's had an interesting career to date, to say the least, really. He had to serve a 4-month ban at the start of last season due to a problem with his contract, and so for that reason didn't really play all too much football last season, but looking at his stats before fullback, clearly a very talented player. Can play in a variety of positions as an attacking midfielder out on the wings or up front. There's been a host of Championship clubs interested in Walsall striker Josh Gordon, with Preston, Barnsley and Millwall all interested in the striker. I believe only got 1 more year left in his contract and is said to be valued at just 250k, so a cheaper option here perhaps. We spoke about in the last video Preston's links to Macaulay Bonne as well. That one would be a lot more expensive. He's tried and tested in the Championship, scored 11 goals last season, whereas Gordon is yet to play at a higher level than League 2. 25 years old, scored 12 goals in all competitions last season. North End have also been interested in a loan move for Villa striker Keenan Davies. Wouldn't be at all surprised to see him going out on loan, but apparently Villa are looking to bring a few strikers in before they do allow anyone to go out on loan. Also, with Preston and Villa's previous history last season of Andre Green, we didn't really make the most of that loan spell, did we? So I'm interested to see if Villa are willing to let another player go out on loan to Preston. JOHN-JULES is another player I've seen being mentioned with North End as well. He spent the second half of last season out on loan at Lincoln. And the Arsenal youngster, only 19 years old, moved to the Championship this time around, maybe on the cards to continue his development. And then one being linked away from North End at the moment has been Ben Davies. The Leicester interest has resurfaced over the last couple of days. This was one that was mentioned in January as well. I think even the summer before that. Wolves have been interested previously, Newcastle as well. A lot of interest in Ben Davies. Understandable to see why. He's a very desirable player, can play out from the back comfortably, left-footed English at a good age as well. Bunch of Championship experience, and I think that natural next step in his career would be the move up to the Premier League. But with only 1 year left in his contract, Preston need to make a decision with quite a few players. We have started renewing contracts now with Paul Gallagher and Sean Maguire recently renewing with us. So these next couple of weeks I think are going to be quite big for North End in terms of whether the likes of Alan Brown, Ben Pearce and Ben Davies are going to be signing these extensions. And then QPR appear to be getting closer to a deal for Livingston striker Lyndon Dykes. The only real surprising thing from here was the transfer fee being paid, around about £2 million, which is quite uncharacteristic of QPR over the last year or so, isn't it? But Dykes we spoke about quite a bit in previous videos, but a good overall record in Scotland so far. We'll see if that can be transitioned over to England. Not just goal scoring as well, but assists. 28 league assists in his last 3 seasons there. Both Bristol City and Middlesbrough are looking at Wigan defensive midfielder Joe Williams. Would be a brilliant deal for either of them. Second half of the season especially, he was absolutely superb in that holding midfield role. Off the ball is absolutely superb, brings a bunch of energy into his side, and at only 23 years old as well. That one ticks a lot of boxes for each side. Birmingham are continuing their search for a goalkeeper. Last time we mentioned their interest in Cardiff goalkeeper Neil Etheridge. This time around they're being linked to Newcastle shot-stopper Carl Darlow. Would be a very good deal, but would Newcastle be willing to let him go out on loan after just letting Freddie Woodman go out on loan to Swansea? I'm not so sure. West Brom are the latest of clubs to be linked to Brentford fullback Rico Henry. Previously we've seen Aston Villa, PSV being linked to him as well. Had an outstanding season for them, you have to say. That partnership down the left hand side with Side Ben Rama, when Ben Rama would tuck in, Rico Henry would make those overlapping runs. At only 23 years old as well, one of the most desirable fullbacks in the Championship. Stoke defender Liam Lindsay's been linked with a move to Blackburn Rovers. Didn't have the easiest first season at the Bet365 stadium, did he? He was coming over after a couple of really impressive years at Barnsley, but just struggled to really fit in that defence, which was so all over the place throughout the year really. He was in and out of the side throughout the season, so I'm interested to see what Stoke plans are for him for the future. Obviously with them having recently re-signed James Chester as well. Lee Drover has been another player who's been linked away from Stoke, with Huddersfield and Derby both interested in the 31-year-old striker. Had a bit of a mixed first season there, 6 goals, 3 assists. I think one thing that Stoke are going to try at least to do is lower the age of the average squad, and someone like Gregory at the moment who's not really going to push them onto that next level. Having previously signed Stephen Fletcher, I can see why they're angling for him to get the move away. For Huddersfield though, it looks like a return for former striker Danny Wood would be the more reasonable thing to happen in this window. Last season for Cardiff on the back of the net 7 times, in his last full season with Huddersfield managed to get into double figures with them, scoring 10 goals in the Championship. Aston Villa have been the latest club to be linked to Norwich City playmaker Todd Cantwell. Now I'm of the viewpoint that I do hope that Todd Cantwell sticks out with Norwich this season. I think he could have a similar season with Norwich to what Jack Grealish had with Villa when they were down in the Championship. He could be that man who they go ahead and build the squad around. Out of Norwich's like big players who could be moving on, probably the most likely to get that move at the moment looks to be someone like Emi Buendia. There seems to be the most interest in him at the moment, and so to fill that creative role, Todd Cantwell will be fantastic in the Championship. I mean, he had a fantastic year with him in the Premier League last time around, 6 goals, 2 assists. In a fairly struggling side, those are decent numbers. I remember when Norwich came to the FA Cup last season playing Preston, Todd Cantwell and Adam Ider absolutely tore us apart. They were fantastic. So a full season of Todd Cantwell in the Championship, I think he would be absolutely excellent. It's understandable to see why a club like Villa will be interested. If Grealish was to be moving on, a natural placement there could be Todd Cantwell coming into that Villa squad to fill that void. Speaking of Norwich, it looks like Spurs youngster Oliver Skipp's going to be joining them on loan this season. Made 11 first team appearances for Spurs last season. They're looking to get him a little bit more experience, and Norwich have not been messing about in this transfer window so far, have they? They've got several deals over the line as they're looking to restructure this squad. cards. Skip looks like he'd be another good option, very tidy player on the ball. Newcastle are interested in Bournemouth striker Callum Wilson. This interest comes as no surprise. However, what does make this one interesting is there could be a potential swap deal on the cards here, with Newcastle reportedly willing to offer Dwight Gayle and Matt Ritchie in exchange for Callum Wilson. Now, Bournemouth will be losing a fantastic player there, you know, Callum Wilson, proven Premier League goal scorer, but at the stage where both clubs are at now, this could turn out to be a decent deal. I mean, if we look at the last time Dwight Gayle and Matt Ritchie were together in the Championship with Newcastle, as they bounced back at the first time of asking, they were both absolutely prolific at this level. Dwight Gayle last season for Newcastle scoring 23 goals. The next time he'd be in the Championship with West Brom, he scored 24. He's guaranteed goals at this level. And then looking at Matt Ritchie, I mean, his previous numbers in the Championship have been absolutely sublime. With Newcastle's promotion year, scored 12 goals, got 7 assists. When Bournemouth were promoted from the Championship, he scored 15 goals and got 17 assists. 32 goal involvements for a winger is absolutely something else. And last season for Newcastle, he was used a bit more as a rotational player. Started playing more and more as a wing back as well. So perhaps that move back to Bournemouth in the Championship could be on the cards. What would you think of that, Bournemouth fans? Do you think that would be a fair deal? Cardiff are looking to get back Dion Sanderson on loan next season, coming back over from Wolves. Spent the second half of the season on loan at Cardiff, did really well for them. There was that one dodgy game against Fulham, but apart from that, really solid option. Barnsley had been interested in American fullback Reggie Cannon, but as of recording, they've recently announced the loan signing of Ludwig coming back on loan from Red Bull Salzburg. I'm sure that all the Barnsley fans will be happy with that. Had a really positive impact when he came in. And another season with them now in the Championship, the only way is up. Rotherham are interested in Chelsea goalkeeper JOHN-JULES. He's one of those players who's been at Chelsea forever, but has just had numerous loan spells out. He had a loan spell a couple of seasons ago to Sheffield United in the Championship, where I actually thought he did quite well for them, and then since then hasn't really played all too much football. Been on loan since at Leeds, Vitesse and Bristol Rovers. If he can rekindle those years at Sheffield United, then it would be a decent option for a club like Rotherham. Both Stoke and Portsmouth are looking at Leeds youngster Leif Davies coming in on a potential loan spell for this season. But guys, there we have it. There were some of the recent rumours that have been going around the Championship. If you did see any others that we didn't mention in today's video, then get them in the comments down below. It's every day at the moment, more and more are coming out, aren't they? But as we do head into this new season, as it does get closer day by day, the rumours are just going to keep on coming. So if you did go to enjoy, make sure to leave a like, guys. It is always massively appreciated. Make sure as well to subscribe for a bit of regular Championship content. But apart from that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.